Hey guys, welcome back to John's Watch. Today I'm going to be reviewing a game called Crudelis. Now, Crudelis is developed and published by Whiskey Jack Games. It was released on Steam on January 20th, 2016, and its regular price is $6.49 Canadian or $5.99 US. Now you heard that right, I am reviewing this game. This isn't a first impressions video, this is a proper review. I've played the game, I've completed it once, and I wanted to actually review it this time, instead of just showing off gameplay. You will be seeing gameplay in the background. But I saw this show up on Steam's new releases, and I was very intrigued by it. I wanted to buy it to play it for myself, but there were absolutely no reviews for it, so I waited a couple of days, and there were still no reviews coming out. So I was kind of wondering what was up with that. So I decided to reach out, and I'd be the one to do the review. So I got in touch with the developers, I got a copy of the game, played through it once, did my review on the store, and now I'm doing a video review. Now, the basic premise of the game is that you take on the role of a man called Henry Shackelton, and he's basically working on a machine in his house, but he gets attacked by bandits, and he has to use the machine himself to save his own life, and as a result of this, he only has 60 minutes left to live. So, playing as Henry Shackelton, you have 60 minutes to explore the steampunk world that you're placed into, and try and get to one of 12 endings. That's right, 12 endings. Even though you have 60 minutes in-game, it takes a lot longer to get through those minutes. For example, my first playthrough took just over an hour and a half, and I got one of the endings in that time, and I only used about 35 minutes in-game time. So in an hour and a half, I got one of 12 endings, and I managed to unlock 4 out of 28 achievements. So there's a lot of replayability to this game. That's one of the reasons that I highly recommend it. For a game that is $6, it's got a lot of replayability, and you can sink quite a lot of time into this game. Another reason I'd recommend the game is it's just very charming. It's a really nicely made steampunk world, and it's really nice to talk to all the characters in the world. The developers are clearly very invested in the game. I've talked to one of the developers, and yeah, they're clearly very passionate about the game, and they're dedicated to making it the best possible game that they can. Now, it is an RPG Maker game, you can easily tell that from the graphics. With that comes a couple of issues. One of the issues is that your character model, Henry Shackelton, is for some reason a lot smaller than a lot of the other characters in the game. So, when you're talking to people outside your house, for some reason you look a bit like a child. So it's a bit annoying that the character models are not a uniform size. Some of them are the same size as Henry Shackelton, but some of them are quite a bit bigger. When you start up the game and look in the options, you'll see that there are 2 language options. One is English and one is Polish. The game obviously started off as Polish and has since been translated to English. Unfortunately, it hasn't been translated particularly well. There's a lot of spelling and grammatical errors in the game. However, on the morning that I was talking to the developer, he said that he has gone through and fixed quite a few of those errors. So I told him I'd keep up to date and let him know if there's any more in my next playthrough of the game. Fortunately, the spelling and grammatical errors don't actually take away from the story of the game. It's just a slight annoyance when you're trying to play it. But when you're playing the game, you get some really cool puzzle-solving moments. For example, at the beginning of the game, you start off completely broke, you have almost no money to your name, and for some reason all of your quests seem to need quite a lot of money. So it doesn't actually explicitly tell you in the game, but you can figure out, hey, I don't have any money, why don't I go visit the bank? And I won't spoil anything, but that is how you start to advance through the game. So it's really cool that the game lets you, it kind of forces you to really think things through. You don't just rely on your journal to read your quest objectives. You do actually have to use your intuition and figure out what you want to do yourself. That's not to say that your journal isn't important. It is vital that you're checking your journal. Sometimes, however, it doesn't update properly, or it doesn't point you in the right direction. For example, a bit later in the game, you have to solve a puzzle, and it shows you a picture of a bench next to a lamppost looking over some water, and your character says, aha, this is where I have to go now. And you have to like memorize exactly what it looks like, and you go out into the world, and by the time you do actually find where you need to be going, it's actually, the place looks nothing like what you saw in the picture. So there is a bit of a weird disconnect between what the game tells you to do and what you do actually have to do, and this does come up in your journal not properly working occasionally. For the most part it does work, but sometimes it's really not clear where you're supposed to be going, who you're supposed to be talking to. Another example is, in the early game, you get trapped in this work encampment in the south of the city, and you have to talk to the people in there, and you have to do quests for the people inside, and the boss will try and get you out. But you can find a hole in one of the buildings that lets you escape the encampment and go in and out of the encampment whenever you want. So it's really weird that you still have to do the quests for the people inside to get you out in order to progress with the main story, even though you can leave the encampment whenever you want. So like I said before, a bit of a disconnect between certain aspects of the game. So in summary, Crudelis is a fantastic, fairly cheap indie RPG that is set in a lovely steampunk world. It has many different endings, lots of achievements to unlock, and despite a couple of small issues with spelling and grammar, it's still certainly worth the very reasonable price. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye! Okay, we need to think of a good fighter name, and I've got the perfect name. Our guy will be called...